Hello and welcome to the Beernuts Productions podcast. My name is Goff, and today is going to be a little bit different because on social media a little while ago I put a post up asking you guys to ask me questions, and you very kindly did. We've got a whole heap of questions, but to help me out today I have a very special co-host. It's Craig Ingham. How you doing today, Craig?
G'day, Goff. How are you, mate?
I'm very well. Now, before we get into the questions for me, what have you been up to recently?
Oh, wow. Look, always performing. I've just finished filming a pilot episode of a TV show called The Celebrant.
Well, yes. And you're happy with how it all went down?
Mate, it's a great script, very topical, and in it I get to play an off-centre clown. So, yeah, lots of fun on set.
Well, I think that kind of suits you, to be honest, Craig, because Craig's been in a lot of Beernuts Productions films, and I can very much picture you playing not a creepy clown, just a bit obscure.
He was obscure, and he just leers at people in a menacing way.
A menacing clown? Is it a horror or a comedy, or what sort of genre are we looking at?
It's a comedy set in and around a crematorium.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. So suits me to the ground.
Very good. Well, everybody needs to look. What's it called again?
It is called The Celebrant. We've just shot the pilot, and I think there's 8 eps all up to do. So
fantastic. Well, yeah, everybody needs to keep their eyes peeled for that piece of magic. But before they do that, they're listening to this. We've got a whole heap of questions to get through. So Craig's going to read out the questions. I will answer them to the best of my ability. We got some curly ones coming my way because I've had a sneaky look. And so, yeah, Craig, first question.
Well, mate, the first one is from me. And I thought I'd just put it out there. What's the casting process like, and how do you choose the actors?
Well, I'm very particular in regards to casting because it's obviously I always need to get the right actors. So I'm very old-fashioned. So what I will do is I will email agents a brief. So let's say, for example, I need a male nerd in his 30s. Now, in my opinion, nerds come in all shapes and sizes. There's fat nerds, there's skinny nerds, there's nerds with glasses, there's Asian nerds, there's black nerds, there's white nerds. So I never specify any kind of ethnicity, if I can say that word. It is a big word. Yeah. I wish I could say it. But I never specify any ethnic things or any characteristics. I just say the genre, which is comedy, so a good comedic actor in their 30s to play a nerd. Then the agents will email me some actors they think suit. I will look at their show reels. I'm big on show reels, so any actors that are watching, make sure you've got a show reel. I'm sure Craig, as an actor, I'm sure you can agree and attest to how important show reels are.
So very important. And under 2 minutes.
Oh, 100%. So, so I watch their show reels and any audio and read their resume. I am very because, again, I don't want to waste people's time. So I don't get people in if I don't believe they're going to get the part because, I mean, that's a waste of everybody's time. So then I will email the agents back. I'll say, out of the 5 you sent, I want to see these 2. And so they'll come in for an audition. Now, I never accept self-tapes. Since COVID, self-tapes are a big thing. I do not accept self-tapes because I want to meet the actor for 2 reasons. I want to see that they can take direction, and I also want to see that they're not a jerk because I have to work with them and I don't want to work with jerks. So I'll get them in for an audition. I will have a quick chat to them. Hey, how you doing? What's been going on? Blah, blah, blah. Then we will read through all of their lines. Now, again, that's very different for an audition. Usually with an audition, you'll be given a monologue of some description and you to memorize it, and you come in, you say it, and you leave. I'm not like that. I make them read out the whole, not the whole script, just all their lines in the script. I'll read with them. If I want to give them direction, I will. And from that, I pick the best actor. So essentially, yeah, so I'm very old-fashioned in how I do my casting because I do believe that casting the right actor is paramount for the film.
So if an actor, just a curly one, if an actor doesn't have an agent, can they reach out to you via your website and send through something they do have?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. So that has happened on occasion. I have had actors email me. They just usually say, hey, how you doing? Or they might send a YouTube link to a show reel. I will always email them back and say, I need to see a reel. And then if they don't send me one, then I just ignore them. If they do and it's good, I put them, because I do have a list actually at home. I do have an actor list of all actors that I've worked with who I enjoy working with and who are great. And then also if there's a few actors out there that I haven't worked with, but they're still on my list because they've done exactly what you said, which is they've given me their details and I've watched their reel and, oh, they're really good. I'll keep them in mind for future projects. And actually the film that I'm about to shoot in a couple of weeks has an actor in it that did exactly that. So
wow.
I've never worked with them. They contacted me directly, and so I watched their reel. They were really, really good. So I got them in for an audition. So yeah, so that does happen as well.
Well, that's really good, mate. Look, this next question comes from Tammy Wells. Do you take a plot, a character, or a script suggestions and ideas from the actors?
No. Simple as that. No, well, it's Beernuts Productions. It's my production company. It's my work. If people want to do a film, they can do their own film. So no, it's all Beernuts Productions. It's all about me.
Well, I think there was one or two actors who say, "Oh, what about this?"
Oh, okay, yeah. So if we're on set or in rehearsals, I'm not closed-minded. Someone can make a suggestion. I'm not a jerk. I'm not going to, tell them to get fucked. Like, I'm not an asshole. Well, I am, but not in that way. But no. So yeah, if an actor does come up with a suggestion, I think this. What about this? I will listen. But I am pretty steadfast in my ways and what I want. So most of the time I'll say thank you very much, but we'll do this. But yes, occasionally I will say that's actually a really great idea. Yes, absolutely, we will do that. So occasionally that does happen.
Well, that actually covers the next question from Tammy as well, which is how do you encourage the actors to go off script? So and actually wing it. 9 times out of 10, no.
No.
Because it's structured in the script.
Yeah, so there's no improvisation unless it's pre-arranged. So the short answer, again, is no. So yeah, I spend a lot of time and care writing my scripts. So yeah, I don't like people messing with my work. It irritates me enormously.
Okay, noted. So next time hey, guess what we can do? I'll go, no.
Yes, correct.
Yes,
You're better off saving your breath.
All right, Drew Glazier's got a question for you. And, this is an interesting question, Goff. Are there any scripts that you have completed but then scrapped?
No, never. So I always keep everything I write. Now look, sometimes I'll write something and it's just not quite right, but I'll never ever delete anything, never. So I'll hold on to it, and then in 6 months' time or 5 years' time or 10 years' time, I'll go back through my work and I'll reread it, and I might go, that's what that was missing, or that's what I need to do, and I'll try fixing it. Now, sometimes I'll read it and I'll still think it's rubbish, but I'll never delete anything. I'm a big fan of Oasis, and I saw an interview with Noel Gallagher years ago, and he said that he had a song which was on one of their albums called Let There Be Love, and he said, I had the chorus in my head like 10, 15, 20 years, like back when he was almost a teenager, and he said, I just couldn't come up with the verses. And he said, and then one day suddenly, like 15 years later, it came to me, the verses. And he said, and sure enough, we recorded it and put it on the album. It's a beautiful song if people want to listen to it, Let There Be Love by Oasis. But yeah, that's so... I was doing this beforehand, but again, it's kind of good when you have your theory confirmed by somebody, you know what I mean? So, but yes, I never ever delete anything that I write, and if it's not good, I won't do it until it is perfect. So I'll just put it on the back burner and wait till the time where I can fix it and make it good.
Well, that perfect segue here to the next question from Jan Zilm. A lot of really great comedians actually have a notepad where they walk around and they write, oh gosh, that's actually funny. And they put it in their ideas box, which is basically what you were saying. So she's asking here, what triggers your ideas for screenplays?
A few things, really. I give myself a brief, and a brief is a very simple one, and it is, do I think this is funny? What do I think is funny? Is this funny? Essentially, because comedy is king, jokes are king. So that's number one. Now, I make a lot of mockumentaries. So with the mockumentaries, I'm always thinking, what's a subject that's controversial in nature, that people get really worked up about? So I've done porn, I've done prostitution, I've done the environment, I've done horse racing, all subjects. I've done other stuff. I'm just trying to think what other mockumentaries.
Oh, the one about working out.
I've done personal training.
Personal trainers.
I've also done what else have I done? I've done a bunch. Anyway, my point is, I always
marriage.
Marriage. I've done drugs. So I always pick subjects that are very controversial and have two sides to the tale, and then I make fun of both sides equally, because I don't want people thinking I'm not equally offensive on all angles. So, I like to offend everybody equal opportunity offender. But so with the mockumentaries, I will pick a subject and then I will get stuck into writing it. And with other stuff, when I've done more scripted narrative type films, again, it's a premise or a situation that I think is funny and that will make me laugh, and then I proceed, essentially. So there's not anything specific, I suppose, that I can put my finger on saying that triggers it. It's more about, I guess, what I think is funny and entertaining, and then I'll just go with it.
That actually reminds me, whenever I get a script, whenever we're doing another production, I will call you, and as you know, I'm in fits of laughter. I'll just crack up over it. That's very, very hard to contain when you've got something so good that you're writing. How do you go with that? Because whenever I'm on set with you, where it's all business, time is money, we've got to get the job done. But there's so many times where I just want to crack up, and I sometimes don't even look at you because I'm so busy doing what I'm doing. Are you the same? Do you just want to crack up and let it get out because it's so funny?
Occasionally, in regards to I wrote it and I've edited it, so I've heard it 70, 80 times. So I kind of, when I first write it, I do make myself chuckle sometimes. So I'll write a joke and I'll be like, oh, well done, Goff. That's a good one. I give myself a little pat on the back and then I move on. But in rehearsals, there'll be times when an actor will deliver a line just right, and I've heard it out of their mouth for the first time, and it's just spot on, and that will make me chuckle. But yes, you're quite right. When we're on set, it's all business, and so I gotta put my serious pants on, and there'll be no tomfoolery.
All right, our next question, actually, Chris Martin, he's given us 4 questions. The first one is, as prepared as you are, has there ever been a moment when you just wanted to shelve the whole project and start over? We sort of touched on this before. Well,
no. The short answer is no, because I make sure before I start any project that it is spot on and exactly how I want. So, yeah, the short answer is no. I've never shelved anything, and I never would, because I just simply don't have the money, the time, the budget to be farting around like that. So once I made the decision that this is the film we're making, that's what's happening. Now, there has been times, for example, where I can think of one project, I won't go into names and specific details, but an actor had a meltdown on set, and so there was a whole scene, a big chunk that was unusable, so I had to think of a way to fix it. So nothing ever gets shelved, things only ever get fixed. So I thought to myself, how am I going to fix this? I'm going to have to write a brand new scene for new actors and insert it that will work. And that is exactly what I did. Now, obviously, it cost me a little bit more money, but to shelve the whole project would have cost me 10 times more. So the only logical thing to do is to fix things. So if there is a problem, I will fix it. I will never shelve it. So, yeah.
Okay, Chris has then followed that up with, how do you get through the emotions of something not measuring up to your creative standards? So you might have an actor or some other person on set, part of crew, whatever, and they're letting you down.
Well, no, I understand. I understand where you're going, but I read this question, and it's a really, really solid question. I really like the question because he is 100% right, because for about the first 6 films that I did, I really struggled with that because... I have a picture, when I'm writing a script, I have a very clear vision in my mind. And so your vision is obviously perfect. You can hear the characters' voices and it's perfect. You can see what the scene's going to look like and it's perfect. Everything is spot on. But I'm low budget, So there are going to be little errors that creep in. And you just, I used to get really upset. I genuinely, I go, damn it, I get really annoyed and upset. And I just needed to realise that, look, with the budget that I've got, and because it's a very small crew that I've got, you just have to accept that there are going to be... So the best example is the last film I did, which was Idiom. There's a scene in there where in the background you can see some electrical cords on the ground. Now, is that it's a shame that they're there. I would prefer them not to be there. But is it the end of the world? No, it's not. It's not going to... People aren't going to switch off the film in disgust because a few little... I mean, did the crew mean to leave the cords there? Of course they didn't. It was an accident. Accidents happen. We don't have a big crew to check these things. We've got limited time, so we just need to film and get things done. Now, look, so... As long as I always think to myself, when I'm making a film, as long as the script is perfect, the actors and their performances are perfect, the direction is as good as it can be, and everybody's can be heard and in shot, it's fine. I think somebody can understand if there's a few electrical cables on the ground, on the side, in the background that can barely be seen. I think a reasonable person can forgive that time. I mean, big Hollywood blockbuster films have little errors like that in them. So, I mean, it's unreasonable to expect absolute 100% perfection. It's an unrealistic expectation. So, with the question, Chris is 100% right. I used to get really upset, when things didn't come out absolutely perfectly. But then I realised, it's independent filmmaking. It is what it is. I don't have $1 million to spend, so these tiny, tiny little mistakes, you're just gonna have to live with it. So I do.
Yeah, and I've noticed it's part of a family, like we're a family unit. We all work with each other and we know our temperaments, but we know that, we get onto it, we crack onto it and get it done as best of our abilities. And it helps that you have that family unit around, because Chris then goes on to say, how do you balance ambition with reality?
Yeah, well, yeah, so it's the same sort of thing, I suppose. I've got a clear picture. Well, actually, a better way to answer the question, I suppose, is when I've finished writing a script, and it's time to make the next film. So it's time to make the next film. I go through, I'm like, I want to do that script. I reckon I can do that script, but there's a scene in there that's going to be really expensive to do. So I need to make a decision. Do I keep that scene in or do I change it? Now, depending on what it is, usually I'll be like, okay, well, I really want to make this, so I'll change the scene to something that it's going to be affordable to do. So either I delete the scene completely or I change it in some way, shape or form. And you know what, most of the time, I actually think the change is for the better. So, yeah, so balancing ambition and reality, so I've got an ambition, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to have to be realistic, and I'm going to have to cut that so I can make the film. And I'm okay with that because I want to make the film. So I'm not overly devastated about doing that, because obviously the goal is to make an entertaining piece of film. So yeah, so again, it was something, much like the last question, that did take me a little bit of time to get used to, because, you come into this with the first few films and you're like, this is what I want to do, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, yeah, that can't happen because I don't have $2 million and explosions at my disposal, so I'm going to have to come up with a plan B. So you learn to deal with the reality of the situation and you move on. And like I say, most of the time, I reckon the change is always for the better anyway.
Now, this is a really good question from Chris, because this is something I've wanted to ask you. I've never have. And now we get it out there in podcast land. What is a topic too offensive for you to address?
There isn't one.
There isn't one?
No, I will happily talk about anything. Nothing. I forget who So one of my favourite films, it's a documentary called The Aristocrats. It was made like back in the early 2000s. It's so great. But there's a comic on there, and he says, and I agree with him, he says, anything is funny if it's told with the funny bone. So as long as, no subject is offensive, as long as it's told with humour in mind and there's no malice intent and there's no nastiness, and none of my films are like that. They're inappropriate. They can be inappropriate in nature and a little bit rude at times and whatnot, but there's never any malice intent, never offence meant, never any nastiness at its core. It's all done with humour and jest, and so as long as it stays that way, nothing is off limits.
Yeah, wow. Okay, cool. Tara Ramsey is next. Great question here from Tara. What movies most inspired you to want to make your own films?
So there was one in particular, actually. Now, no one ever saw it, so because it was a very low-budget Australian film, so I'll explain it. So back in about 2006, I reckon, there was a movie called 237, which was made in Adelaide by a bunch of university students, and it went to Cannes and got a good reaction at Cannes, and then got a very limited cinema release where I saw it at the cinema here in Australia. Now, I watched it, and now there's a lot of mistakes in the film. It's made by university students, again, on an extremely low budget. So again, I forgive the mistakes now that there's like continuity mistakes and there's a few little writing errors because again, it's a guy of 21 writing the script. So there's a few little directorial errors. But again, I forgive that because the premise is so magnificent and the acting performances by the teenagers is just so incredible that you just, like me personally, I was just like, holy shit, this is incredible. And the fact that it was made by university students. So I'm sitting there I was about 24, I reckon, at the time, and I'm sitting there watching this in the cinema going, well, if these university students can do this on no money,
yeah, wow,
I can do it. I've got a bunch of scripts that I've been working on forever, and I've been trying to get them made with production companies, and they don't want to know because of my eyesight. They're telling me to get stuffed. And so what am I supposed to do? I want to make my films, but nobody wants to assist me in the traditional way to do it. So why don't I just do what these university students did and just get the money and make it myself? So that's what I did. So that was sort of the final little push that I think I needed to do what I'm doing now. So yeah, that 237 is the film. It's not for everyone. It's a very heavy sort of drama kind of teenage angsty kind of a film, but again, it's made by 21-year-olds, so that's their go. But yeah, so it's not a film for everyone, so I wouldn't suggest people go hunt it out and watch it because it's going to blow their minds. But for me, that really inspired me to push me in the direction that I've gone.
Well, that abridges actually a side note here that I've just picked up, because I think you're the only one, correct me if I'm wrong, that actually does this full time around the world, makes a living from short films, and very, very successful, because prior to that, tour the world doing stand-up and using all of your life experiences. But
just keep going, Craig, keep going.
There's not too many people. When you make a short film, whether it is a film school or whether you get $10,000 out of your savings and do it yourself, it always sits on the shelf. Or it might go to a film festival and that's about it. But you said, no, stuff that. I can see this to be an application and an area to move in. Was that hard to start? I mean, because the bandwidth, the website, the tech, I mean, my gosh, it's not an easy thing to do.
So, the thing that gave me the idea to distribute the films like I distribute them was I noticed that porn had gone in a specific direction. Now, this is the time of 2010 where DVDs were a thing, so kids ask your parents what DVDs are. But, you don't want to buy porn on a DVD because, it takes 3 weeks to get to your house. So who wants to wait 3 weeks? But what porno websites were starting to do was edit up their films and sell them by the scene. And I thought to myself, and like each scene would go for like 15, 20 minutes or whatever, and you just purchase each scene. So you don't even have to download a whole film. And so I thought, well, my films are going to go for a similar amount of time, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Why don't I just sell them as individual films on my website and do my own press? And, because again, I wasn't able to get distribution. I don't like, I'm different. I don't like film festivals for the reasons that you said. Nobody actually watches your work. And what's the point? So why go to all this effort when no one's going to see it? I mean, seriously, I'm not being offensive to film festivals, but the general public, by and large, don't attend film festivals. They just don't. Because, lots of film festivals, the movies are like 10 minutes long and it's a big thing and people just don't go, right? Yeah. And I want people to watch my things, and also I need to make money. I've got to make money so that I can make the next film. So I thought, well, why don't I do what they're doing, which is selling my stuff individually through the website and have people come in and download. So to answer the first part of what you said, you are correct. I'm Australia's only independent streaming service.
Wow.
So I'm like an independent Netflix is the best way to put it. So I make all my own work, and then you go to the Beernuts Productions website, as you know, and people will download things directly off the Beernuts Productions website. And so that's how it's been ever since it started with the very first film. I think that answered everything.
No, it did, mate.
But yeah. But you are correct. It was a very conscious choice. I was like, because once I made the first film, I was like, how are people going to watch this? Yeah. I've made it. What am I going to do? Yeah. And so it seemed logical to me, put it on the website and have people watch it through the website.
Well, look, back to our questions.
Yes.
Kim Pillick, what has been your most challenging film production and why?
Well, any film that Craig Ingham is in, because he's such a diva. Just kidding.
I need my trailer. It's in the contract.
I'll rewrite that contract. Anyway, no. Look, every film has its own unique challenges. That's true. It's like, so there's not one where there was a specific. I mean, we've had, like I said earlier, we had a film where an actor had a meltdown and we just couldn't use a section of that particular film. So that was a massive challenge. We've had weather, where it's been literally, like, there's two films. The Education System and Book Club were filmed when there was literally flooding rains, to the point where Maddie, our makeup artist, couldn't get home one night because the road was blocked with floodwater. So we've had flooding rains we've had to deal with. We've had actors having meltdowns. We've had I've had locations close on me, like and I've had to find another location within a few days. So every film has its own unique challenges. So I can't really specify one because, every film just has its own unique challenges that you got to get over and find a way to fix. And that's part of it, is coming up with solutions on the fly as quickly as you can, problem solving.
I think in Book Club, I think we got lucky with my little bit. It was actually sunny at that moment where we opened the door.
Yeah, well, you had there was undercover, so it is actually raining when you do your bit.
Right? Okay.
But the front door has a awning. Is that the right word? Yeah, well, It is now.
Porch awning.
Yeah. So it had a bit of a roof, but if it didn't have a roof, you were getting very wet.
Well, and a very funny piece, I might add.
Well, of course, you're in it.
All right, next question. Ilea or Chidsney, which is worse, working with dashhounds, children, or mad artists?
So Ilya, it's Ilya.
I'm sorry, Ilya.
That's okay. Ilya does all my graphic art, and she saw my question on social media, and so she decided she would put this question in for a couple of reasons, because Ilya owns a dash hound, and every time I go around to Ilya's house to organise any prop, because she does all my props and art and anything I need, Ilya does it. The woman's incredible. But yes, her dash hound is very badly behaved and will bark and jump up and down and fair dinkum. It's just the most, it's tiny, like it's a tiny little dog, but oh my gosh, it's completely bonkers crazy. So anytime that dog is in the vicinity, it's hard work. Mad artists, I'm happy to work with mad artists because I think I'm one myself. And what was the third one? She said, was it children?
Children, yeah.
Well, there's been a few films with Beernuts Productions films with kids in them, and to be fair, I do the same casting process with the kids. I get them in and I audition them. So any kids that are going to be little jerks don't get the role. And also, when you do work with kids, I sort of size up the parents as much as I size up the kid to make sure that the mum or the dad or whoever I'm going to be working with is a good person as well, because obviously they're the ones I'm going to be speaking with the majority of the time, not the child. So I always make sure that the parent's cool. And so I've never had any issues with any of the kids. I think there's been maybe 3 films or maybe four films that I've done where we've had kids, and maybe actually five. I tell you, like 5 films that we've done where there's been kids, and I've never had an issue with kids. So I'm going to go with dash hounds is the answer.
You know, I've got a great dash hound shirt. I should have worn it today.
You've got a great collection of shirts, full stock, Craig. If people go to the Beernuts Productions YouTube channel, I made a fun little promo about Hawaiian shirts about a year or 2 back, and Craig stars in them because he's got the best collection of shirts you've ever seen in your life. So if you head over to the Beernuts YouTube channel and scroll down, you'll see a little video about Hawaiian shirts, and you'll see some of the brilliance that Craig Ingham has in his wardrobe.
Not everyone loves them, but anyway, moving on.
Well, they don't know what they're talking about,
That's
Craig.
what I reckon. Hey, Kale Campus. G'day, Kale. How are you, mate? Kale Campus has got a great question here for you. You're known for producing a lot of content. What is involved in your writing process?
So when I have decided, like what Jan said earlier, how do ideas come to you? So I've got my idea. So the bare bones of the script will be written extremely quickly because I want to get it out of my body. So it'll be 24, 48 hours. I'll have the bare bones of the script, and then the editing process will begin, and I will edit and edit and edit. So I will probably edit a script maybe 50, 60 times.
Oh, wow.
So that's why I'm so fussy about no improv. To go back to a previous question, that's why I don't like improvisation and people going off script, because I've put a lot of time and effort and care into writing this script, and the last thing I want is some dickhead actor coming in and rewriting my words. That doesn't fly with me. I do not like that. So, well, I mean, now that they're aware, there's been months of work has gone into this script. So
yeah, fair enough.
I don't like it being tampered with. So the bare bones is written very, very fast, and then it'll be months and months and months of edit, and not all in one. It's not like every day I edit the script. I'll edit it a few times, and then I'll have a bit of a break from it, and then I'll come back and I'll edit it a few more times. So there's been a few of my scripts. The wedding one is a good example. So I'd been to a few weddings in a row back in around 2005 to 2007. A lot of my friends were getting married at the time. So I went to a lot of weddings, and then I thought to myself, I should write something funny about weddings because there's so much scope for comedy with weddings. So I wrote my wedding mockumentary in about 2007. Now that film didn't actually get made until 2022. So that's 15 years later is when that film got made. So every month, well not month, but every few months I'd go back and I'd re-edit that script. And after 15 years it got made. So so I write things. Yeah, and I edit them very diligently, and that's essentially the writing process.
Wow, that's amazing. So, it's, as you said, nothing ever gets chucked out. So
no, nothing.
When we shot the wedding script, it was very impressive. It was a large cast.
Yes.
And to know now, I did not know until right this moment, that it was 15 years in the making. Wow, that's impressive.
Well, that's why I don't like people tampering with my stuff.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's why I'm so hypersensitive about it, because I take so much time and care. Because, look, at the end of the day, to go back to a previous question, actually, I always believe that it doesn't matter how good your actors are, your director is, your crew are. If your script's no good, you got no film.
Cactus.
You can't polish a turd, Craig Ingham. Well, you can't, can you? So I mean, if the script's no good, your film's no good. Yeah. It really is as simple as that. So you got to be meticulous and write it as best as you can. And like that wedding film, that would have had 60 plus edits on it, and that's why again there was to be no tinkering. And yes, you're right. It was a big film, and there was 45 actors involved. And so at the time, it was the biggest film that I had done. But I was super happy with how it came out. And again, I reckon it's because of the time and care that was put into the making of it. So yeah.
No, it was very, very funny, particularly that poet, yeah. All right.
who was played by?
I don't know the actor, but he was sensational.
He was some hack.
Some hack. Hey, also too, Kale has got here now. Oh, this is interesting. Is it true that your real name is Goffrey Gothington III?
Yes, it is. Yes, that is what's on my birth certificate. I don't know how Kale was aware of this, but quite right. That is indeed my name and how I wish to be addressed going forward.
Maybe a sir in front of it.
I would have thought so.
Sir Gothery.
Or Lord. I've been knighted by the Queen.
You know, you can actually become a lord by buying land in Scotland.
There you go.
There you go. $10 and you're a
$10.
All right.
A marshy bog in Scotland.
Yeah, and you're officially a lad or a lord, if you like.
There you go.
I'm one. I brought it. So now you have to address me as Lord.
I'll address you as something in a minute.
All right. Hey, last question here from Jacob Aegis. Why is your I can't believe Jake will put this. Why is your head not as shiny as my head? That is my question.
Now, for those, I know Jake. Jake was obviously somebody I know and who decided he'd add a question onto the social media comments section. And I did say in my video I would include all questions. And so even though he may not have meant for this question to have been part of this podcast, it is. So I'm going to answer it. I believe that my head is more shiny than yours, Jake, because it is more full of brains.
Oh, I can hear Jake now.
Hey?
And one final question from me.
Oh, Craig's got another one.
I've got another final question. So, with everything that you've done, and it's quite a lot, and obviously you've got some scripts, years and years, that you've actually got there ready to go. Do you think you'll ever run out of material, or is it just something that you always come up with? I mean, because some comedians just run out, or comedy performers run out of material. They've sort of overexposed.
Well, at the moment, I would say no, because you're quite right. I do have a lot of material in the waiting to be made. So at the moment, I would say no to that question. But you never know, the brain might stop working one day. But I do have years and years worth of films and ideas that I would love to make. So I do hope that people, it's a good time for a plug, I do hope that people go to the Beernuts Productions website and download as many films, and there's audio files and all sorts of fun things for people to...
The children's book.
Yes, there's the Jimmy Green, and actually Ilya did all the artwork for the Jimmy Green book, and it is spectacular. It's one of my most favourite things, actually, the Jimmy Green and his adventures in the Magic Forest. It's so great. But yeah, so I do hope people go to beernutsproductions.com, download something, support independent filmmaking and independent entertainment, independent art, download something and get a good laugh, and come back and download something else so that I can make more films and make more people laugh. So yeah, I really, my goal would be to make everything that I want to make, and I hope that before I drop, I'm able to achieve that goal, because there's so much that I want to do. So yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's great, mate. Well, look, I believe that's all of our questions so far. And you know what? Some of them are a little bit fun, but some of them were really on point, because we watch all of your stuff all these years and we think, well, I wonder what the secret there is, or what that happens. So thanks for doing all that today, mate.
Well, I don't know why you're thanking me. It's my podcast, but I should, of course, be thanking you, Craig, for coming on and helping me out by reading the questions. It was kind of you to come in here. Why don't you give yourself a filthy plug? Where can people learn more about Craig Ingham?
Oh, look, the best thing to do is go to IMDb and then just type my name in, Craig Ingham, and my showreel's there. All of the films we've done is there, and everything I'm doing coming up as well. So, yeah, if you want to, go have a look at that, and I'll be there smiling.
Fair enough. Well, yes. And also, if people type in Craig Ingham into Facebook and Instagram, you come up as well, so people can give you a like and a follow and a share.
Yeah, that's it. Like, follow, share. YouTube, I do a few YouTube videos as well with my other business, so have a look at that too, and check it all out.
Cool. So, yes, well, that will bring us to the end of this particular episode of the Beernuts Productions podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast, rate and review. 5 stars is always good. And, of course, beernutsproductions.com is your one-stop shop for all your entertainment needs. So until next time, we will talk to you then.